What's up, fish heads? Tony Baber here. I did a recent video kind of talking about the accessories and some of the stuff that I've done to my boat as far as to set it up for the 2021 season. Some of the things that I've done to kind of help it with the efficiency and just the productivity of the boat overall, as far as from an accessory standpoint, TH Marine stuff, my Humminbird, things like that. Just kind of a general overview of some of the accessories that I'll be using. And it got me to thinking that maybe I should do a video kind of talking more about like the guts of the boat and how I set up my tackle, how I organize all the compartments and things like that. With it being an older boat, it presents extra challenges and things like that that you don't get with the newer boats, as far as, you know, the ability to organize and really put everything together as far as inside the boat itself. So I'd like to show you some of the things that I've done to kind of get around that, and some of the things that I've done to kind of maintain efficiency as much as possible. So let's get to it. All right, guys, so I want to start back here at the back of the boat and kind of the brains, if you will, of the boat and kind of how that whole thing is set up. Now, obviously, as you can see, this is going to be the live wells, so there's really not a whole lot to do there. That's pretty self-explanatory. Now, for this compartment here, as far as the main back bilge area, it's a lot more open than most compartments that you see on newer boats, as far as how they organize them and kind of break them up a little bit more. Now this area over here, I'm actually planning on installing a fourth battery just to help with being able to power the GoPro and stuff when I'm out there fishing the tournaments, and also to have extra power for my Humminbird and things like that, because I've noticed that it really kind of drains my battery down, as far as, you know, running the motor, running live wells, recirculating water, running the Humminbird with the side imaging and stuff like that. And I just wanted a little bit of extra juice so that I'd be able to power the GoPro and be able to capture the entire time of the tournament without any interruption or without draining my batteries, causing a problem as far as getting back to the weigh-in. I recently installed new pumps and recirculating pumps and stuff down there for the live wells. I'm running a 30 series AGM. Two 30 series AGMs is the plan for next year, as far as for my trolling motor and stuff like that. I do have a Cabelas 3-bank charger. I'm gonna have to upgrade that to a 4-bank or buy another portable or something to charge that fourth battery. So that's pretty cut and dry. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that. I think everybody's seen a bilge and kind of knows the general setup of stuff like that. So moving on to this compartment back here behind. So this is kind of my toolbox and spare parts and stuff, but I also keep my spinnerbait box, because my spinnerbaits are one of my favorite things. I have such a big box, it's kind of cumbersome and big to put up in the front compartment, but I also like having my spinnerbaits with me, so it's not something I'm willing to really sacrifice as far as what I carry and stuff like that. It is the new Plano box. I love the waterproof nature of it and kind of how it is set up and things like that, with the wicking material built into the box and stuff. So it makes me feel confident to store my spinnerbaits in there and stuff. I don't have to worry about them getting rusty and things like that. I've been pretty happy with how it's performed so far. And then the rest of it is just my box down here. So as many of you may know that have boats, or some of you that don't, if you don't have a boat, it's always good to keep a cache of tools. Everything from basically all the screwdrivers and nuts and things that you need for all the size bolts and stuff that you have on your boat in case anything were to break loose. But also to keep other things like zip ties and duct tape and stuff like that, just to be able to anticipate any of the bad situations that could possibly arise while you're out there on the water. I keep all kinds of parts in there, extra fuses and a spring for my hot foot and all that kind of stuff, just because you never know. As I continue on owning a boat and things like that, I accumulate more and more stuff. So that brings me back to this compartment. Now, this is a little bit more unique in that on my boat, I don't have a cooler. So pretty much all your newer boats come with coolers nowadays. Mine does not. So I don't have anything up there as far as built in for a cooler. I know a lot of them put them down here like in front and stuff like that, and you have like little step ups and stuff like that that tend to be where your coolers are. This boat being the design that it is and being a 92, it was before all that started being built into bass boats. So I've had to improvise. Now, one of my sponsors for this coming season is Bison Coolers. They make a fantastic cooler. They have soft-sided, they have hard hard coolers and things like that. They have koozies, and they carry all kinds of accessories and tumblers and different things like that. Great, fantastic coolers. They keep ice all day long. They'll keep a bag of ice for 24 hours and stuff. So it's a really great accessory to have. And this is the 24 can XD, which is kind of like an extra tough. It's a lot more durable. It's got more of like a canvas kind of material on it, but the insulation on it helps keep ice all day. So it's great for those great, you know, them really hot summertime tournaments and things like that. And then of course, being in the compartment, it adds an extra layer of protection and insulation for that. So I don't have to worry about keeping my stuff cold. I don't have to worry about it keeping it dry and things like that. But this little cooler has worked out to be just a great addition to this boat, because not having a cooler on here has made it really tough. And fishing tournaments and stuff can get pretty hot and things during those summer months. So look into it, bisoncoolers.com. See what kind of options they have, see if there's something that'll fit you. It's those high-end kind of coolers that'll keep your ice, and they're all made in the USA, so it's a fantastic product at a great value as well. So we'll move on up to the front of the boat. I don't really have anything in the middle per se. Of course, I've got measuring board there that I keep tucked behind the seat, and that's pretty much it as far as any kind of storage or anything like that. The net will lay down in that floor area, you know, for those tournaments and stuff like that. So we'll move into the first center compartment here. So the thing that's unique about this is when I bought it, it had 2 seat pedestals originally, or some sort of a mounting base for pedestals. I pulled those out, which of course have exposed the holes, but I actually kind of don't mind it as long as it's not raining, because it gives a little bit of ventilation to the compartment. But they were so heavy, I just had to take them off just to save the weight, if nothing else on the lid, but also in the boat too, because they were pretty heavy. So we'll kind of dig into this. This is kind of my setup. This is how I've managed, or how I've basically been running it all year. The boxes, of course, can be taken in and out based on the season and that kind of setup and stuff like that, as far as what to expect with any of that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's been a pretty flawless system. A friend of mine kind of told me once when I first got it set up, you're going to go through 100 different versions and 100 different iterations of it before you finally find something that you like. This setup here has been fantastic for me. I can put, you know, as many boxes as I could need. It's not all my boxes by any means, but seasonally and tournament by tournament, it helps me kind of organize it, and without bringing too much, so I'm second guessing myself all the time. So I have just enough room to kind of basically carry what I need to carry for those tournaments and still be diverse and have enough stuff available to me. So on this side over here, I keep all my terminal boxes here. It's the waterproof kind from Plano there. You know, I got a hook box, a weight box, jig head box. I always keep them right here on this side. And then the center is kind of more of a flowing, kind of more, I guess you could say, the stuff that I'm using, the more high priority baits and things like that. I always typically have my square bill box because it's a deeper box. It fits here. I have a deep crank box, which is the same size. And I also keep that in the center because it houses really well in there as far as fitting between all these boxes and stuff. So this is kind of a changing area. This typically has my square bills, my deep dives, and then it'll have some sort of a jig box or two. And then if we get into topwater season, I'll keep like buzz baits or topwater spooks, or, you know, whatever it is, depending on the lake and kind of what I'm fishing and stuff, kind of move around that side. And then this side over here, as you can see, is kind of a same thing. So whereas the center console boxes tend to be more of my jigs or slow moving baits, that kind of stuff, the side over here tends to be more of like my cranks, so like swim jigs, mid cranks. For this one I have lipless in here and frogs, which is kind of a mixed topwater box being the time of year that it is. But I also keep like my jerk baits on this side. That kind of stuff is what I keep mostly on this side, or Alabama rigs if I'm fishing a tournament where I can use Alabama rigs. I tend to kind of keep it over there. So I always have kind of a general organization to the tackle so that I know where to go and where to kind of look for stuff. Now, the other side of it is I always keep this little box in here. It's a nice, handy little tray that I've been using because I can keep my tools. So like I always keep my scissors here, my pliers here, and then any of my little kind of scents and things like that. My KVD Line and Lure, I always keep it right there handy. You know, my dyeing markers, my wacky rig tool, hook sharpener and stuff like that, I always keep there. And then I use this kind of emptier spot over here more for like my cutoff baits or tore up plastics and stuff, because I'm a big proponent of don't throw your wasted plastic in the bottom of the lake. You know, try to keep everything clean. So I always take that and kind of use this as kind of like a trash receptacle, or just kind of a pile for my baits, because I don't like throwing the baits right back into the box because they can get wet. You throw them in the box, they rust, and then they rust everything else in there because of all the moisture and stuff. So I like to stick them here to kind of let them dry out. Or if I want to go back to it, if there's some reason, you know, that I'm just making a temporary change or something, especially with practice or whatever. And then this kind of area up here, I use more for like spare plastics. So anything that I'm gonna be using, like my hot plastic, so to speak, the stuff that I know I'll probably more than likely be using because maybe I'll be going through the baits, or, you know, catching fish on it. So I need, you know, the plastic's readily handy. If I don't have it in my pocket, this is a nice spot for me to keep it because it's right here handy. They're out of the bag, they're out of storage, and it's exactly whatever I need. Based on kind of the patterns that I have going or what I'm doing as far as fishing. I always keep my gloves there, that way they're ready to go each day that I'm ready to go fishing and stuff like that. So that kind of covers that box. We'll go to the front center box here, which is kind of more my plastics. So this is kind of an evolving box as far as how much stuff I carry, and it's definitely more seasonal and more pattern based as far as what I'm using and things. Now, as some of you may recall, earlier this year I had stated about using the KVD speed bags by Plano. As you can see here, I've got 5 of them. I got 4 of the bigger ones and 1 of the smaller ones, and the verdict from me is I absolutely love them. They've been great to protect my baits. They've been easy to kind of get in and out of. Keeps everything really organized and really well, you know, kind of clean and everything, so I don't have to worry about it being like a mess or a bunch of bags just kind of piled into the bottom of the Glad bags or whatever, which is kind of my other system that I use, as some of you may have seen. But this has been kind of my basic setup all year. So I've had like my rodents and my rage bugs over here, which is more my flipping stuff. And then I've got the menaces here, which have come in and out of the boat a couple times, but I've always got my trailers on this side. So the advantage of having everything kind of organized the same way is I know exactly where I need to reach and grab, and I know exactly where everything is. So I always keep it organized this way because it helps with the efficiency on the water, but it also helps me, you know, if I need to make a quick change, or, you know, just being organized and knowing what I have in the boat. And then I use the extra space that kind of goes up in here. I'll give you a little shot of it there. To store any of the extra plastics that I have. So like, you know, if I'm going to be using like baby rodents, or, you know, some other rage swimmers or finesse baits or anything like that, I use that other kind of that dead space up in the front for the smaller packages of stuff, just because I don't want as much weight as I can towards the back of the boat. So that's why I keep all my hard baits in the back compartment and some of the plastics here in this middle, and I keep them as far up to the front as I can, just to try to keep that weight as centered so the boat will run as efficiently and as comfortably and stable as it can. So that's kind of the soft plastic area. I have used this back area here some to use like for extra boxes. So if I didn't have enough utility space up there, if there were some other things I wanted to carry with me for whatever reason, for emergency purposes, you know, just in case I wanted to switch something up, or if it's practice, I usually carry a little bit more tackle, or about this much, if not more, for practice, just to, you know, have those options and stuff and things like that available. So I will throw some of the 3700 boxes up there on the left hand side, just for baits that I may not be using quite as much, but I want to have available to me for practice or whatever it is. So that's kind of the setup there. I do like the split box kind of design of this, with the front and then the back boxes and stuff, or compartments, I guess you could say. I like that. I don't know if I think it would be better to have like the one center box that was, you know, just a center lid that's all encompassing. I think that might be a little bit easier just to access everything, but that's kind of why I've broken it down the way that I have, as far as having my plastics up here and my hard baits here and stuff, and jig heads and things, just so I can know which compartment I need to go, and I don't have stuff mixed up, and I don't have hard baits up here and plastics up here, hard baits here and plastics here. It just helps with the overall efficiency of the boat when I'm out there on the water. So we'll kind of get into this. This will be a quick one here. This is just my rod locker here. So it's, you know, typical rod locker. I don't have any kind of tubes or anything up at the front. It helps me to really kind of pile in as many rods as I can get in here. I think I'm up to about 15 rods right now, which isn't much compared to some people, but for me, you know, it's great to have all those extra options available. But, you know, I'm gonna keep accumulating more and more, especially some of the spinning rods, which I'm not a big fan of using, which I only have one right now. I lost one that got broke earlier this year, so I'm down one. But I love using these rod glove covers, the neoprene covers. They also have kind of a cheaper style that's just more of like your typical webbed style. I like these because it offers more padding. It's a little bit more water resistant in a sense, and it also gives a lot more like just better protection. But it's a must if you're going to store your rods like this, because what happens is if you don't have these, your line gets tangled around the rod tips. You got 6 rods that are all tied together, and it turns into a nightmare, and you got to pull half your rods out of the compartment just to be able to, you know, use anything. So, and I've done it before because I've cut corners, not put the rod sock back on it. So highly recommend the rod gloves. Use the Pro style, a little bit more experience, or a little bit more expensive for the Pro series, but definitely worth the extra investment. As much as people spend on their rods and reels and stuff, highly recommend having that protection for your rods and stuff. So that kind of covers that. And then moving on to the last compartment here. So this is kind of just a hodgepodge storage compartment. I keep my lights and stuff in here, as most people do. But one of the other things is I keep my rain gear here. If you're not familiar with this idea or this technique, highly recommend it. It's great for saving space and keeping it compact. Roll your gear up. This is the pants here, or I'm sorry, this is the coat, and then I actually have the pants rolled up and inside the hood for the coat. But it's nice because it keeps it all together. It's just easy to grab it and kind of get it out, but it keeps it organized, and it's not, you know, flailing around, catching on everything. Of course, the other thing, I keep a wet box in here, or dry box, I should say, to keep like my keys and my wallet and stuff, just to help protect it, since I don't have anything like a center console storage or anything like that, like a lot of boats have, like right here in between the seats. They'll have like a storage area. I don't have that. Again, older boat, kind of didn't have that design added into it. And then this box here, or this bag I should say, is kind of my accessory bag for what if, or in case I need it, that kind of stuff. So I always have like an extra neck gaiter in case I run out or and forget mine or whatever. I always keep my scale in here. I highly recommend this scale if you've never seen it before. It allows you to save the weights in there. It's accurate. It's easy to use. Never had a problem with it. And then as I kind of open it up here, this is kind of where I keep more of like just extra stuff. So I got like my safety stuff, like an air horn, my distress flag, I got some rope, of course, the necessary bottle of G juice for them tournament fish, especially in them summertime tournaments. Always got this handy. I keep some spare line here, like for leaders and stuff, like 8-pound tests, that kind of thing. Some other little spare parts and stuff, sunscreen, extra kind of a cheap rain suit just in case whoever's with me doesn't have one handy. Just that typical, you never know if you need it kind of stuff. I've got extra hooks in here and split ring pliers, an extra pair of scissors. God knows how many times I've had to use those because I leave mine at the house or whatever. I got more fuses and stuff in there. I believe that's it for here. I've got more rope back here. So it's just kind of a catch-all of just those little accessory things that you find that you might need, or spare pieces, spare parts, kind of, you know, as far as like the scissors and things like that, just stuff that I've actually used countless times because I forget it at home or whatever. When I'm out fun fishing, I rush out the door and forget to grab something, and it's nice having that extra set or that extra neck gaiter in there. But that kind of covers everything. So hopefully that gives you guys some good ideas. I'm gonna put you down here and maybe give you some organization ideas or things that you can do with your boat. Like I said, with it being an older boat, it presents unique challenges that you don't typically have in a lot of the newer style boats, because as they've evolved and kind of built better boats and made them more for the angler and built in things that anglers have requested and stuff like that, obviously it makes it really nice nowadays. You know, you get the cooler, you have extra storage, you got storage spots, you got easily like customizable storage. You can put different brakes in and stuff as far as in your storage compartments. You know, waterproof areas and things like that. So I've had to adapt and kind of make it work for me. So hopefully this gives you guys some ideas if you don't have, you know, like the newer style boat, or even if you do, maybe this will give you some other ideas of kind of helping you be more efficient while you're out there in the water, as far as how you organize your tackle and organize your boat within your tackle. So have a good day, guys. Good luck fishing, and we'll see you soon.